Hello and welcome to This Week in Gwent. Sorry, but we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but everything should be working now. I am joined by none other than Henry Shinmiri Fang. Shinmiri, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Burza. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It's an honor to be here, honestly, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the chance to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise, man. We had 10.2 launch this week, so we will talk about that. I think we'll probably do it after or in the middle of the red news section. We will also show what's going on within the community, and we'll round it out with some memes, and then we'll get into talking more about you, esports, how's life, how's everything, and and also your streaming. So because it's an important part of the stuff that you do for the community itself.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, let's start off with everything related to the patch itself. So there was a lot. So there was a developer stream launching this week. There was after that we had the patch notes come out with quite a lot of changes. Not many for monsters, but for other factions there was quite a lot.
hmm
We also launched the season of love, and I know you quickly went into the patch notes and analyzed them on your stream. How you liking this patch overall? Like after the first couple days?
I am actually really enjoying the patch. I feel like there have been a lot of substantial changes to some factions, not all factions, right? Like you said, monsters didn't really get any changes, but Northern Realms siege reworks and buffs. I think Scoia'tael Francesca was actually a
Yeah.
very surprising, impactful change. I've really been loving dwarves with Francesca and potentially playing Novigradian Justice twice and other high end specials like Heatwave, Oneiromancy, Muzzle. The muzzle change, neutral change, right? Very
Yeah.
impactful, giving every faction an additional high end control tool. And then self wound has been a surprise as well. Restore, Sigvald, Canute, especially Canute is probably my favorite change from this patch. Very, very flavorful. Gives self wound that offensive capability that they've been missing this whole time.
Yeah, we were actually talking today with the design team, and they pretty much said the same thing. Like Jean mentioned that he's really happy that the community very quickly picked up Sigvald and kind of that he has become a thing.
hmm
And I'm also liking that direction. But yeah, also same thing. Like I think it's a neutral now that is played in the majority of the new decks that you see. But yeah, I see also players are maybe not 100% happy about how Syndicate is performing, and that only Jackpot is a thing. I think it was a thread that was started today. But yeah, it's a
On
thing.
that syndicate topic, I feel like we're getting pretty close to Jackpot having real competitors in the syndicate leader, arena. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe we're not quite there yet because okay, the way I was explaining to my chat was I feel like maybe Jackpot's potentially only a couple points worse than some of the other leaders now, like Off the Books, for example, or Pirates Cove. I think those might be the two closest ones.
Hmm.
But there's just so players have such an easy time playing Jackpot compared to like the five head mental math and and planning ahead that is required with full coin manipulation with the
Yeah.
other leaders that don't have that sort of safety net, that fallback, that a lot of players might even be willing to take that 1 or 2 point hit playing the slightly less
Hmm.
points leader just to relax a little bit and just not to have to do like a PhD thesis playing syndicate. So
Yeah.
um I think that's kind of that for me is where we're at right now with the syndicate leaders. And if maybe there's like a little bit more encouragement for something other than Jackpot, I think we'll start seeing the meta switch because perspective is or perception, I
Hmm.
guess, is a really difficult thing to change
Yeah.
sometimes. And so I think we're almost there is what I'm saying.
Yeah, hopefully. I think when we were discussing it today, it was kind of the same thing that our design team mentioned. That yeah, I mean there will be. I think they also plan some changes like moving into the near future, where maybe making other things more viable. But I feel like you can, but you're kind of used to always going with jackpot, so you kind of just you always choose that instead of the others,
Yeah.
right? but yeah, like you said, it's very hard to change perception on things like these. Yeah, the only thing kind of missing, of course, were monsters, but I think Jean pretty much said openly that it is something that players can expect in the closest future, meaning next update. So
Mhm.
easy clap on that one. So we had the season come out, also Season of Love. Additionally to that, we have a love event which started today and lasts till the 22nd. And it actually works for when you if you have any contracts related to faction challenges which you have not completed. So these will also count in this event. So it's kind of event faction challenge type of deal. So for those of you that still have those things and quests not completed, you will be able to do so. Apart from that, a small technical update which happened yesterday, where we managed when we fixed stuff like the mangonel no longer damaging ally units on Mage Infiltrator's Death Blow. Battering Ram cannot damage immune units anymore, and Van Mulchem Servant cannot target immune units anymore. This was like a server side quick change, so it happened yesterday, and yeah, this of course will still prevail in the training mode, but yeah, easy. At least it's not something that players are gonna feel very bad about when queuing in on ladder. And last but not least, we have the qualifiers for Season of the Wolf. So esports is back in business. Top 16, February 19th and 20th. If you're a player that will be taking part in that, the mailing to the top 16 was sent yesterday, so you should probably get it. And for top 64, we'll be sending that later. But yeah, save the date for these two things because it's going to be amazing. And yeah, of course, we had a new journey come out also this week, and I don't think all the players kind of you know guessed. Like I know some of them knew that it might be Dandelion based on seeing Novigrad in the background. Shinmiri, did you have any ideas like who's going to be the character or no? Were you surprised?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it was. I also guessed Dandelion as the most likely. I wasn't super surprised. I guess I was a little bit more surprised that Jixra was the
Yeah.
secondary character. I thought, if it was going to be Dandelion, that it for sure would be like Priscilla as the
Mm-hmm.
second character. But I'm happy with the journey. I buy it like pretty much automatically every time, and
Nice.
it's always like a really good bang for your buck in terms of both cards and cosmetics.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's kind of the our version of the battle pass, and yeah, I'm really happy that players are enjoying it. Although it's different than the one if you compare it to Regis. Like Regis had different forms in which he would change into, but here you
Mhm.
have I think one of the most iconic characters. I mean, everybody knows Dandelion, right? And he's kind of
Yeah, and I was
always
gonna
stay with
say
Geralt. Yeah,
like it's great to have his iconic voice lines back in the game.
yeah. Yes, I
Like
agree.
it's really nostalgic. Some of the voice lines like that you can taunt with. So great to have those.
Yeah, we wanted those for sure. And yeah, then
Observe a master in action.
exactly. That's a classic one. Also used by the Great Dandelion Show. So,
Hmm.
so that's pretty cool. He also does some funny voice lines, which I was able to record for him in terms of like the leader model when it's on the board. And yeah, someone is saying that he's doing quack quack. Well, that quack quack is something that I've actually done for Dandelion.
I think your
So
camera froze back.
yeah, but it's yeah, I'll disappear and I'll reappear hopefully. Yeah, we've been
There we
having
go.
some technicals today, so sorry about those. And yeah, so like I said, I got to do the funny taunts for him, and that was a cool opportunity. And yeah, I really also like working on the trailer and having Dijkstradel, and actually to the thing that you said when I was writing the script for this trailer, someone told me that his supporting character will be Dijkstra, and I was like, "What, Dijkstra? Like, how do you tie these guys together?" And they're like, there's a whole story behind it, so you will find out very soon. And actually, I won't be spoiling any parts of the story, but it's a that they need each other's help, more or less, or Dijkstra needs Dandelion's help, which is a unlikely alliance. So yeah,
That's awesome.
really.
And
Hmm.
I was surprised to hear that you said you did some voice recording for some of his like onboard
For
voice
his,
lines.
yeah, no, it's not voice lines, it's just grunts, like all the ha 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 ha
Oh,
ha, or the kind of like all that stuff. That's kind of the
maybe you've got a future side gig opportunity
would be
doing
nice.
voice lines,
Would be
voice
nice.
acting.
Would be nice. Although it's quite difficult, to be honest. To like doing these things in front of a camera, and someone's like telling you that you should be now happy. You should be, like you've beaten your opponent, and kind of like getting those emotions out of yourself is weird. And the Quackwa is also like me, but I don't know why it sounds. People are saying that it sounds like a duck, and I talked to the audio designers. They're like, "Well, it wasn't supposed to sound like a duck," so I don't know. But still, yeah, that's kind of thing. Okay, moving on. Community news. New episode of Flurza. I don't know how you feel about this, Shinmiri, because you used to be the co-host with
Yeah.
Flake on the
No,
show.
I'm super happy for you guys. I'm very glad that Flake got you two on the show because I think you two have like really good chemistry, and so I've been watching the show whenever I have a chance, and I really love it. So I'm glad that you're able to pick up the slack where like I feel like with my baby coming, I don't really have the
Mm-hmm.
time to commit to a weekly thing, and I don't want to hold Flake back in
Mm-hmm.
terms of scheduling, and so I felt like I needed to step away from it, but I'm so glad that you guys are keeping it going.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
job.
really, really happy, and thank you, because you guys started it. It was something that I also enjoyed like listening into, and I'm happy that I got the opportunity from Flake to actually do it. So yeah, we had episode 4 come out this week, and with it we were talking about Tailbot retiring. So that was big news in the Gwent community. Yeah, I mean, you Shinmiri, like you're part of the competitive scene for the last
Mhm.
couple of years. So how you feel about this change?
Definitely an end of an era, right?
Yeah.
He's a big face in the Gwent community. I really like him. I've gotten a chance to meet him in person like twice, I believe, both times in Warsaw at like the official LAN tournaments before COVID. Hopefully, we'll get back to that at some point. I really enjoy the LAN tournaments and hang out with Tailbot, playing like Gwent charades with him. He's hilarious. Like he's actually very different than his tournament persona
Exactly,
in real life.
exactly. And people don't
He's
get
like,
that.
yeah, and it's really cool. I know. I think he's a great guy, and I hope he sticks around in the community, even if he's not going to be playing
Yeah.
competitively anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I've also like when we were talking to him, like he said that he made a lot of friendships, here connected to Gwen, and he met a lot of people through Gwen actually. So I also hope that he will stay and kind of be here with us. Although I also kind of understand like he wanted to pursue other things in life instead of just playing card games, and he's been with
Right.
us for like 4 to 5 years, something
Hmm.
around that. So which is quite a lot of time if you take that into account. So yeah, circling back to the Dandelion related stuff. I mean, if you want to see all the taunts, animations, and cosmetics that you can get in Dandelion's journey, there is a video which was posted on Reddit by Accomplished Fig 262. You can check that out if you want to, check the stuff out before you make your purchase. So yeah, really cool stuff. And last but not least, we have two memes to show as always. One is featuring you, so yeah, a really cool one by the community. Making a quick review for all the patch notes in 40 minutes, and then reviewing one card for 40 minutes, and the entire patch notes in 8 hours. So that's
Dude, I
that's.
love this meme. I really love it. It's very true. I Patch Notes Day is like one of my favorite days of the entire month.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not surprised.
legitimately.
Yeah.
And just like diving into the changes and theory crafting, figuring out like what kind of synergies those cards work with, and how to actually um, evaluate some of these cards, because Gwent is getting more and more complex with its cards. You're not just getting wolf packs and peasant militias anymore, and cards are a lot of players. They don't. It's difficult to understand exactly what a card like Sigvald is doing at first glance, right? Like, what is he effectively doing? He's more like transferring self wound from one unit to another unit and potentially getting you positive value for wounding yourself instead of negative value for wounding yourself,
Yeah.
right? But it's much like, if you can break it down like that, then it helps you understand the card a lot better and how it can fit into your deck. But like, at first glance, it's just a jumble of text and like, oh my god, what's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Yeah, and also I saw Bane and chat saying that Sigvald is cool. Yeah, like Sigvald is his new ability. You really need to read into that to kind of understand like what's going on. The second meme is a rework for Philip von Morholm. Yeah, sugar, spice, and everything, guys, but not in this case. Poison luck and all the good stuff and Death Wish, and yeah, and or Order Zeal cooldown one is kind of the something that got into the mixture. But yeah, I think also interesting design choice here. So really happy about that one.
Yeah, that's accurate. Philippe is another card that's really, really fun so far. Yesterday I tried a double Philippe ball deck
Mm-hmm.
with Letho Kingslayer to copy Philippe.
Yeah,
And then with two Philippes on the board, you're putting two statuses every turn, and every other turn you're killing something with poison, because you go Doom Lock on first turn, and then next turn is poison, and
yeah.
like the entire opponent's board is pretty much just wiped out. Pretty good.
Amazing. Since we have the news and all that stuff out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about you. When did you like fall in love with card games, or kind of like what was the beginning? Like, you're a very
Yeah.
analytical mind. Like, where did this like originate from?
My card game passion, I guess the first card game that I played was Magic the Gathering. When I was just a kid, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, in
Yeah.
second, third grade, I remember getting introduced to Magic the Gathering with my elementary school friends, and we would play with Ice Age was the first
Ooh,
set when I started, and I remember my favorite card was Sarah Angel.
same.
It was like this 4/4 flying, doesn't tap to attack.
Hmm.
Pretty cool card, and I played for a
Actually,
couple of years.
have one here.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
wow! Nice.
Always on my
The
desk. So
throwback.
yeah, because yeah, it's also one of my favorite cards when I had as a kid. So that's
Mhm.
why I also remember it.
Yeah. So, but like, I wasn't very good at Magic. I feel like I didn't like fully understand the game, but I was just having fun. Played it for a couple of years, and then kind of what I think I played it for like 2 or 3 years, and then stopped playing it after I moved, because it was a physical thing, right? So when I moved, when I was a kid, I moved around a lot
Hmm.
for my parents' job and stuff like that. So like, one time I moved away from my friends, and then in the new community there weren't as many people playing Magic, so I just kind of dropped it. And a lot of years went by, and then when Hearthstone first came out, I got into the Hearthstone
Hmm.
craze. Played mostly Arena on Hearthstone, a little bit of Constructed. I got to Legendary, I think, a couple times,
Okay.
and with
Nice.
the Miracle Rogue
Hmm.
was, I think my best season was like actually like top 16, something crazy like
Ooh.
that. Just got really lucky.
Hmm.
But I played mostly Arena, was basically an infinite Arena player, really enjoyed the Arena mode. And then like, I came to Gwent along with the Life Coach wave in February 2017. Uh, and basically, the day I always tell people this, the day I picked up Gwent was the last day I ever touched Hearthstone. Because Gwen is just, for me, it's so much more satisfying knowing that after you finish a game of Gwent,
Hmm.
you are able to look back on the game and figure out like, oh, I won or lost because of these decisions, these points in the game where either I made a good move or my opponent made a mistake, or vice versa, whatever, right? Like most of the time you can pinpoint something like that if you analyze it deep enough. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not just with Hearthstone. A lot of times it's like, oh, I didn't draw my 2 drops, so I guess
Yeah.
I lose,
Yeah.
right? So I that's why I really love Gwent. I feel like there's a lot more options and strategy with Gwent, and it's a lot more player agency as well. So yeah, I think for sure with Magic and Hearthstone, I wasn't as passionate about those games. I like the turn-based strategy aspect of it. I like the card game aspect of it, but it was really Gwent, I think, that made me fall in love with card games.
Nice. So when did you join Gwent? Like what did you join back in beta times, and
Yeah, yeah.
how did you? Mm-hmm.
February 2017 is closed beta. My first deck was Control Radovid Punisher with Villain Trentonworth and
Ooh,
Bloody Baron.
nice.
Old school stuff. Bloody Baron used to spawn the Botchling or Lubberkin, depending on what row you played it in,
Mm-hmm.
and then Villain Trentonworth with Gold Immunity, double Scorch after 3 turns. That
Wow.
was a really, really fun deck. Um, yeah, I love that deck. And so, yeah, I played it in closed beta when there were
Mm-hmm.
passive abilities for factions.
Yes.
Very, very different game back then. But I have legitimately enjoyed, pretty much all the iterations of Gwent. I think that Gwent now is the best form. I do think that it was necessary to kind of go from beta to homecoming and get the provision systems
Mm-hmm.
as an extra lever for balance team to pull. And personally, I'm kind of glad that silver spies are gone. I didn't really love the draw your silver spies summoning circle meta
Oh
for
yeah,
a few years
those
there,
times.
but um, yeah. So I really, really Squint has been a ride for sure. And then the deck that I'm most well known for is probably Open Beta Veterans. Was the
Yes,
first deck
I
that
remember those times.
yeah, the first deck that I played, what I started with when I started streaming and becoming a content creator. And so yeah,
Nice.
Gwent has been a really big part of my life over the past like 4.5 years now.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Five
been
years? 5 years
it's been
now. Like
5 years.
February
Yeah,
2022.
yeah.
Holy crap, time flies.
It's incredible, right? Yeah. So you joined very very quickly. Did you like at that time? Did you know anything about the Witcher universe or Witcher 3 or anything like that, or no?
I mean, I was aware of the Witcher universe, but
Mm-hmm.
I had not played any Witcher games up
Mm-hmm.
until that. Actually, I uh I had a free copy. My dad gave me a free copy of Witcher 1. I don't
Ooh.
remember. Okay, this was so long ago. I think like back when I was still living at home with my parents, my dad bought a graphics card. I don't even remember what kind of graphics card. And with the graphics card came a free copy of Witcher 1. And I think it was like many many years later I still had the free copy, and I was like, let's give this a spin. And I played it for a couple hours, and I didn't continue playing
Yeah.
it. It was probably pretty dated by then by the time I tried it out. And then but once I got into Gwent, I went back and played Witcher 2 and Witcher 3 and the expansions for Witcher 3, right, the
Mm-hmm.
DLCs. And so I went, I would say, the opposite route of a lot of people. I think a lot of people, the majority of people, are introduced to the Witcher universe through Witcher 3 or the Witcher RPGs, and then through Witcher 3 find the side game Gwent, and then go looking for more Gwent stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
find
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
standalone game. But I was introduced to the card game, and then when I was playing through Witcher 2 and Witcher 3, it was really cool. Um, Hearing the voice lines, that was like the really really interesting thing to me, hearing the Gwent voice lines in the games, at,
Yeah.
and seeing and witnessing the scenes where they come from and getting the context behind all those lines was really really interesting.
Yeah.
So I love that part too.
Yeah, I kind of
And
I also didn't notice like some of those voice lines until after like replaying Witcher 1, 2, and 3.
mm,
After working on Gwent, then you kind of like you hear them once again, and you're like, oh, I remember this one is from
yeah,
a card, right?
yeah, and Witcher 3 was a really amazing RPG for me. I am not a huge fan of single player RPGs. Like a lot of times I'll play single player RPGs and then I'll kind of get bored of them
Mm-hmm.
like 30 hours in and like not finish them. And I don't know what the issue is most of the time, but like Witcher 3 I never felt that way. Like
Yeah.
I played maybe like 60, 80 hours of Witcher 3 and was enjoying and having a blast the entire time and never felt like putting it down. So
No.
great, yeah, great job to CDPR on on that game, and the DLCs for sure. They're just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Like Witcher One was also when I kind of started my journey, but it was like just when it came out, so there wasn't even a Gwent idea in the works. So it was like a long,
Mm.
long time ago. And then there was Witcher Two, which I played, Witcher Three, and then kind of got into the Gwent part because kind of chronologically as things were happening at that time. So yeah. Speaking of card games, because you played the major ones, let's say. What like kind of drove you to the like analytical side of it? Because I mean, you're known as the one of the most like analytical Gwent casters players that can go into the all the details, decision making, and stuff like that. It's like kind of where did that come from? What's the origin story there?
I don't know how to explain it. I've always been like a very analytical person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was good at math and science in school, and I feel like Gwent as a game, it boils down to a numbers game. It's a points game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just have to have the most points, the more points than your opponent in 2 out of the 3 rounds. And so, to if you really want to fully understand the strengths and weaknesses and nuances of cards, like you do have to understand exactly how the points come along. And so
Yeah.
I look at a card and the first thing, I guess different players do different things. The first thing for me is definitely not the lore or the art or whatever. Like the first thing for me is how many points is this card? What is its point floor and what is its point ceiling and what is the probability that you
Nice.
can get the stuff in between? And so how efficient is it compared to like this competitive standard of which I would say is like provisions +3 in terms of
Mm-hmm.
points roughly right
Yeah.
now. And I don't know, that's just my personality, I guess. I'm just like a huge nerd. So yeah, I love analyzing cards and decks and figuring out, what is effective or efficient and what goes well with each other
Okay. Okay. So
and
you,
breaking things down.
yeah, it's incredible because, like you said, your approach when it comes to the game, like you focus more on kind of like, okay, how much power this has, how I can use it, in what situation, and kind of same probably is with like deck building. You're already thinking, okay, this has this much provision, it'll probably fit into this deck, but then you will have to remove this, and like that's incredible because when the majority of us like me for example I'm pretty much I'm trying to make something and see if it kind of sticks and works. I'm not
Hmm.
very good at maybe like going and fine tuning a deck, so it's kind of going to pretty much use the cards which I think are going to cool or have a cool ability. I also like sometimes some brews which are kind of like there's a small possibility that it will work and it will happen, and then if it happens you're kind of like, yes, nailed it. So I also like those type of decks. But do
Yeah.
you do you when going in and creating a deck, do you go for like fun, or are you more focused on kind of stats, like it needs to perform?
I mean, stats performing is fun for me, like and figuring out what works well together, making a strong deck is fun for me. And I don't feel like I have too much of a focus on, oh, I need this thematic deck to
Mm-hmm.
have fun, or I need like this super niche meme that nobody else plays in order to have fun. I have fun figuring out strong and powerful and nuanced combos and decks, and that's a big part of the fun for me, especially analyzing and theory crafting as well. I'm the sort of player or person that isn't just going to take something and jump into a game right away with it and just
Mm-hmm.
like try it out 100 times to see if it works. I more like to kind of sit in the deck builder, theory craft some stuff and think about, in theory, should this work, and if it has the potential to work in theory, then we take it and build something and try it out, instead of just like, for a lack of a better way of putting it, like throwing a ball against a wall 100 times and see what sticks.
Yeah, I'm the latter. I have the approach where I pretty much learn a deck whilst like playing it. Like I will take something, I will jump like into a game, and I'll figure it out on the go. And I also feel that this is kind of not maybe sometimes the best approach, because sometimes it's just much easier to like read the cards before, like see which ones can interact with each other and how they can work, instead of just learning by error, right? But
Yeah, and
mhm.
different people, it's different ways for different people. Some people just gel better with one method or the other, and there's nothing wrong with either way, right? It's just whatever works for you.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Speaking of kind of your approach to the whole thing, and when did casting come as a thing that you want to do? When did you like figure out like, okay, I want to really get into casting? How did that start?
Yeah, I think it was basically during season one of World Masters with the opens and the challengers and stuff, and seeing like how cool the events are. I felt like I have a really good knowledge of the game. I feel like I could really utilize that and bring something to the production to the team. And so I spent a long time contacting the esports team and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get my foot in the door. And it's challenging, I would say. Like back then, especially there were the big four that started on the casting team, right? Merchant, Mogwai, Panda, and McBeard.
Exactly.
And so uh, it was it was I don't think it was necessarily, it's just very very limited spots, and you kind of have to wait for a spot to open up to have your opportunity to shine and show to the team what you can bring to the table. And I'm glad that there was eventually that opportunity for me, first as an analyst for Challenger number 4. That was the Skellige one
Yeah.
in Warsaw. That was really awesome. And then again as an analyst for Challenger 5, and then later in season 2 I got a chance to step up my game and become a caster as well. So I do think that the path of progression in terms of a broadcaster was very smooth and logical for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
the analysis is probably my strong point, and then I feel like I was able to through those um, through those experiences as an analyst improve my casting game as well and improve my broadcasting skills. I remember the first time I was in Warsaw, like first time on camera, I was so freaking nervous, man. Like I don't know how to even describe it, but like yeah, I felt like after my first 2-3 minutes on camera with Swim as an analyst, like I was like,
Yeah.
oh god, that was probably really bad. But I got over the jitters pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly, and then I felt like there was a lot of improvement as as the
Yeah.
first day went on, and especially into the second day. Um, but I'm so glad that I did it, and it's like one of the highlights of the years for me now when we
Yeah.
get these esports tournaments and I can take part in them. Um, Still a ton of fun to do them online, but I do really miss the
Me
camaraderie
too.
feeling of
Me
meeting all
too.
the players and the CDPR team and the other broadcasters, and having like these game nights in the evenings and getting touring the city and stuff like that. Warsaw is a beautiful place too, and
Yeah, I
hope we
agree.
get back to that soon.
I agree. I also missed that, but yeah, because of what's going on in the world right now, like there's no other way. And also, yeah, like thinking about it on the production side, it's much easier to have everybody in place and kind of even to test stuff, or even have players come in and play, like just to set up additional cameras for that. I mean, the whole thing itself, like when it's done in person, is just so
Mhm.
much more fun, on that side itself. So I also miss those. But yeah, like speaking of that, those were the Gwent OGs, the guys that you mentioned. But now
Yeah,
the teams have flipped around, and it's really cool to have you also like doing casting, doing the analysis. And I'm always like, I think also a lot of people like mentioned this, like you're an awesome ambassador for the game itself, because I mean, you not only um, you know take part in the esports events, you also do streaming, you do multiple things, and also you're creating content, and and you can really get into the nitty gritty parts of the game, which is amazing. And I it's not something that should be taken for granted, because not everybody can do it in such a way as you do it. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a joy. It's like definitely a passion of my life. I really look forward to getting on stream every
Hmm.
day and playing Gwen and just hanging out with people, and like the events are super special to me as well. So yeah, like it's definitely been a very very big positive in my life for the past 5 years.
Nice. Do you find it also when you're streaming, because you stream on Twitch, do you find it like difficult to stream and kind of play the game at the same time, or do you not have problem with having this multitasking in it?
I would definitely not say I don't have a problem. It's for sure very challenging thing to do, and so not. I mean, obviously not just for me. For everybody who's tried to stream, I feel like they. I don't know if could believe anybody who said that they can play at 100% efficiency level when they stream.
Yeah.
There's always going to be distractions, trying to read and interact with chat, answer questions, and just like even if you don't read chat, just the
Hmm.
fact that knowing that you're on camera, there's a, like additional aspect of it in some people's minds, and it definitely affects me a little bit too. I still love the game enough to play the game off stream as well as on stream. So I
Hmm.
do notice like the difference in performance.
Yeah.
I will tell you the one major thing is I rope a lot more on stream than I do off stream because I'm trying to
Same.
spend I'm trying to spend time like reading chat and interacting. So often that's happening during my turn, and then by the time I realize that it's actually my turn, the rope's almost gone. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I have some of those panic moments on stream.
I think it's impossible. It's something that you will not. It's impossible to avoid this, because in a way you want to interact with people, you want to talk to them, but you also are thinking about the play, and then you're kind of like, oh, wait, by the way, like, oh, I'm supposed to play something, and yeah, pass my turn, and you kind of forget about it, because you're reading, you're interacting with people, you're kind of, your mind tends to go elsewhere. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
I always think like a big brain like you probably has no problem with like doing multiple things.
no, no, I don't know how it comes across. If it looks like it's easy for me, it's definitely not. Especially because I also try to uh, vocalize my thought process as much as possible because I
Hmm.
find that's that's what's going through my head, and I like explaining that stuff, and it's very helpful for a lot of players to kind of hear that thought process through the decision making, why I'm choosing to play this card instead of the maybe more obvious choice of this card, or like which position, why I'm putting it in a certain position. And you can get really deep with this sort of stuff, right? And that can also take up a lot of the time during your turn as well. So it's
Yeah.
really easy to rope.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. But yeah, it's good that you provide also this educational aspect to players watching you, because there might be people who either are joining Gwent, and they don't have this high knowledge about the game like you do, but also there might be players who are interested, let's say, in a deck that you're playing at the same time, or you're brewing something and they want to try it for themselves. Like, it's good to have the aspect that someone's actually telling you, okay, the proper plays are should be done in this way. And I think that's kind of what you watch streamers for, unless it's just like you can watch them only for personality reasons, or kind of like the
Mm.
banter in between. But you also watch them sometimes because you want to be better at the game that they're playing, because you're also interested
Yeah,
in the game, right?
yeah, and I think if there's any uh, weakness that I want to improve on is sometimes I can't hold back in terms of how much detail I give during my thought process. Like sometimes I feel like maybe I just don't need to talk about this, and but like my natural intuition, my instinct is to like go as deep as I can. Every thought that I think of, I try to enunciate and vocalize, but yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit too much. That's something that I want to try to work on a little bit, but it's unnatural for me at
Hmm.
least.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, look, it's something that you probably know more or less, like okay, I should be stopping myself right now and not
Mhm.
going more into details about this, right? Or I should, maybe I'm giving out a little bit too much. But yeah, it's really cool. Did you ever think about like going pro or something like that?
I Yeah, I did. It's I feel like once I started streaming, it became less of a possibility because like we talked about before, it is really difficult to play 100% on stream. If I wanted to do my best to go pro and win tournaments and stuff, I would probably not stream, or at least if I did stream, I wouldn't say anything, like I wouldn't have a mic. I would just be purely focused on the game and let people watch me play the game, but there
Mm-hmm.
would be no commentary.
Yeah.
The closest that I got, I don't remember which qualifier it was for, but it was for a season one in open beta. Dagon was still a leader at the time. I remember because uh, it was in my lineup, and I played in an open qualifier, and I got third place. It was the
Mm-hmm.
best. It was the best I had ever done, but I didn't really get many chances before that to play in the qualifiers because, as you know, I'm in the U.S. and
Mm-hmm.
the qualifiers always started at like 2, 3 a.m. my time. So it it was very it was a big commitment for me to switch my sleep schedule, and
Mm-hmm.
also because I live with my wife and I don't want to disturb her and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Makes total
um,
sense.
a lot of the times, even if I had qualified for a tournament by placing in the top 64 or top 16, I just didn't go. I didn't participate
Mm-hmm.
because of the time zone issue. And then the one or two times that I did participate, I did manage to get third place, and I lost to Shoop in the final game. It was a five
Oh.
game series, and I lost to a 60% Shoop roll
Oh no.
from my opponent, uh, and that's is one of the reasons why I've been soured on Shoop for a long time. But I'm slowly beginning to come around to it. I've been playing a lot more Shoop decks in the past couple months. Like Enslave, Nilfgaard Shoop has been
That's the
actually a lot of fun
worst.
and very
That's the
very good.
worst. Losing to RNG is like the worst, right?
Yeah.
Probably gave you like Hearthstone PTSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's incredible. But yeah, like looking into like everyday life, you're now a busy man, like, looking into to the future, do you think that there is like you will always try to find some time just to stream and kind of keep this community that you have going?
Yeah, definitely. I want to do my best in keeping, my community around and streaming and making content for Gwent. I really love the game, and I don't think that's going to change with the baby on the way. But obviously, there's going to be a lot more responsibility, a lot more time commitment for me on that side of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to guess that I will have to cut back on streaming in some degree, and I've been going pretty hard these days. In my last couple months of free time, I've been
Mm-hmm.
streaming. I've been pulling a lot of like 7, 8 hour streams, and I've been having a lot of fun with them. But like, yeah, once the baby comes, I'm guessing the streaming schedule is going to be more irregular and maybe more sporadic and just like a couple hours here, a couple hours there. Maybe I might even, well, I don't know. I don't want to give any commitment for now, but I might even potentially consider switching to streaming at night
Oh,
um, because of when the baby's asleep.
yeah,
If
yeah.
that goes that way and the baby goes to bed early, say like at 6 p.m., then I could stream for a few hours at night before I sleep. It would be different. It might not be as good for the European audience in terms of the timing, but I gotta figure things out when it happens, right? And I can't really plan ahead for it. It's really just dependent on
Yeah.
how things shake out.
Yeah, I think, yeah, with kids it's just a matter of finding the child's, sleeping schedule, which can be, that's they don't always sleep like throughout the night, but sometimes you
Hmm.
get them kind of, taking naps during the day, so you can probably fire up a quick stream then and kind of, like
Right.
just to find out like what's going to be the cadence that's going to be working for you and for your family, because I think that's the kind of most important thing in order just to, have it as part of the your everyday daily routine or tasks and stuff like that, instead of just um, sacrificing something in order to do the other thing. But yeah, I think knowing you, you're a well organized man, so there should be no problems on that front.
Thanks.
um Coming back to Gwent and its meta and stuff like that, what was your favorite like meta, like, or your favorite deck number one that you kind of, when you think about Gwent, is like, this was my favorite meta, this was my favorite deck.
Wow. Hmm.
Can only choose one.
Yeah, really difficult to pinpoint a favorite meta. Um, when I think about favorite deck, there's two that stand out to me. One, for nostalgia purposes, is Veterans and what I'm most well known for in open beta, right? And Veterans had a bad reputation. Like,
Yeah.
people gave it a hard time being like, oh, I play an idiot, I grow an idiot, and like, it's like just point slam and no thinking. But I actually think at a really high skill level, Veterans was had a really high skill cap, um, because you didn't have there was a lot of planning ahead with Veterans,
Yeah.
and I think it was a you know deceptively kind of easy deck. It's not really easy if you want to play it to its full potential, but
Yeah.
maybe on the easier side if you weren't looking to max out its potential and just get by. Anyways, but that one mainly because of nostalgia and what got me started in the streaming community. Other than that, I think my favorite deck would be actually Nilfgaard Assimilate,
Ooh.
because it has so many different lines of potential play, very, very deep, and every game can feel different.
Mm-hmm.
You're not necessarily just playing your own strategy and knowing what's going to come. You have to adapt and be on your toes all the time, thinking about like predicting what your opponent's playing, what sort of list, what kind of cards that are good for you to copy. If you can put
Yeah.
together combos, like one of my favorite moments, I think, from an esports event, I don't remember who's playing anymore, but like it was Assimilate versus Commandos and our
Mm-hmm.
Commandos, and uh, in that matchup, you can even like copy a bunch of Commandos for yourself, and then like
I remember
replay
that one.
their Roach
Yeah.
Merciless, and the Assimilate player can have actually more Commandos than the Northern Realms
The
player.
Northern Realms player, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like, there's a lot of those sort of examples that were, there's a meme now, like every buff is a buff for Nilfgaard, and they can Nilfgaard just doing Nilfgaard things, right? But I think that's like really really fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very not dull, right? It keeps things fresh because you're
Yeah.
always switching things up and always thinking on your toes.
Were you always kind of were like thinking about the types of decks that you were kind of like, you know more leaning towards? Was it like aggro control, where you, I think you would be like a control player, right? Because you like to know like what your opponent is playing and what possibilities you have. But kind of like, did you always go towards that, or maybe some combo decks in which you need to
Hmm.
like,
I would say
nail your combo?
I would say control and combo
Mm-hmm.
would be more of my style when it comes to games like Hearthstone or Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to Gwent, I like, yeah, I also like more interactive sort of decks that have some way of disrupting your opponent's strategy, as opposed to kind of like solitaire decks, for example, like monsters or
Yeah.
relics, or whatever, right? Like, I do like having agency in what my opponent is trying to do as well. So
No.
those are the sort of decks that naturally that I favor. But yeah, I think that there are definitely, I do try to experiment and play and dip my toes in all sorts of archetypes.
Nice. Nice. Really cool. Okay, man. This was really, really cool. I'm happy that we got to do it. Thank you for waking up so early, in
Yeah,
order
no
for to
problem.
make it for the stream. Unfortunately, yeah, we had some technical difficulties in the beginning. Sorry about that. Also, throughout the stream, like, something's up with my new camera setup, but I will try to figure that out very very soon, so we don't have any problems with the next week, which is going to be, of course, next week. So yeah, thank you, and hopefully we'll see each other soon on the esports circuit, and also on Twitch, and and in the community itself, because that's what we're here part of.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show, and I appreciate you, pushing the time slot back an hour to accommodate for me. So,
No, of
yeah,
course. I mean, come
thanks
on.
so much.
If I was gonna do it for anyone, I would do it for you. Especially that we're past patch patch day. So I
Mhm.
would really want to have you here to kind of talk about that a little bit, but also to kind of do the standard Gwent related stuff. So yeah, thank you for being here with me, and yeah, hopefully we can also repeat this in the future and talk a little bit about maybe esports more, maybe more streaming, or how your life is after becoming a dad and stuff like that. So that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks so much again, Burza.
Awesome. It was great chatting to you. Thank you everybody for watching, and yeah, have a good one, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.